So I was standing in the middle of Brussels, right? And everywhere I look, there were tourists taking selfies with chocolate shops and waffle stands. If you are going to be in one of them, then check this video. I will show you a few places along one of the main shopping streets in the city of Brussels. Hey everyone, I'm Adam, and I spend my time digging into the stories behind tourists' well-known places. I want to show you my perspective. Brussels is one of those cities that's really easy to underestimate. Most people think it's just EU headquarters and good beer, but honestly, this place is absolutely packed with medieval atmosphere, architectural gems, and some of the best comfort food in the world. Whether you're planning your first trip here or you've already seen everything in Brussels, then these few spots are going to fill your perspective and give you some solid pre-visit advices. So grab whatever you're drinking, coffee, tea, or why not both. Hit subscribe if you want more of this kind of content, and let's go. Alright, this time you can start at the beginning of Rue du Marché at the wider end of this street, almost part of Place d'Espagne. By the way, Place d'Espagne has also been called Place Marsupilami since 2006, after the Belgian comic book character. It seems like only in Brussels they would rename a square after a cartoon animal, right? To me, this seems like a perfect description of Brussels' sense of humor. This square sits right between Brussels Central Station and one of the main shopping streets, and it's surrounded by these gorgeous Baroque buildings that most people just rush past on their way to Grand Place. I mean, just look around and enjoy the view. Now we are walking down the Rue du Marché aux Herbes, and I want you to think about this for a second. This street has been here for almost 900 years. When this street was first laid out in the 11th century, it was the main artery for herb and spice merchants. That's literally where the name comes from, Herbs Market Street. But here's what's crazy, you can still feel that commercial energy today. It's lined with shops, restaurants and cafes. My wife and I spent a lot of time here dining and tasting Belgian waffles. I love this street because of these facades with their Baroque details. I love that these aren't reconstructions. This is the real deal. I mean, these buildings have been playing the same role for centuries. So this time I really recommend you discover the city around this street. And here you can see, or just step inside here with me. This is the Galeries Royales Saint Hubert, and you're looking at the world's first glazed shopping arcade. This opened in 1847, which means this is literally where the concept of modern shopping experience was invented. Actually, you've got 3 connected galleries here, stretching 200 meters under this incredible glass dome. But get this is where the Lumiere brothers first showed their cinematograph in 1896. So this place essentially introduced movies to Belgium. By the way, if you're a fan of romance, literature, and you like reading, maybe you know the Victor Hugo. Hugo used to hang out here regularly, and honestly you can still feel the literary atmosphere, the luxury boutiques, the famous chocolateries, these elegant cafes. I still don't know if they're just tourist attractions, really. And when anyone knows, I've read that the best time to film in here is during golden hour, when the light filters through that glass dome and creates this absolutely magical atmosphere. Unfortunately, we missed it. You can still find here theater, cinema, and many luxury boutiques. Okay, so everyone knows the Grand Place, obviously, but here's the story they don't tell you. What you're looking at right now isn't the original. The August 1695 French troops, led by King Louis XIV, ordered a 3-day bombardment that destroyed 4,000 buildings, including almost everything on this square. This wasn't just military strategy, This was cultural destruction. The French were trying to divert troops from the siege of Namur, but they ended up creating one of the most devastating events in Brussels' entire history. But here's what Brussels' spirit really shines through. Within 5 years, the powerful merchants' guilds had completely rebuilt this square. What we are seeing today is actually more beautiful than what was here originally. This stunning Baroque architecture is what makes the Grand Place a UNESCO World Heritage Site. You'll see a lot of people here. Most of them are filming and taking photos. The interesting thing is that every 2 years in August, this square hosts the famous flower carpet event. It's a must-see place along with the Hôtel de Ville and Brussels City Museum. Hôtel de Ville, this town hall, isn't just a pretty building, it's a 600-year-old survivor with serious battle scars. Built between 1401 and 1455, this Gothic masterpiece was the primary target during that 1695 bombardment I just told you about. That 96 meters tower, topped with Saint Michael, Brussels' patron saint, served as a literal target for French cannons. The fact that it survived while everything around it burned makes it this incredible symbol of Brussels' resilience. Look closely at the facade. Those sculptures of nobles and saints aren't just decorative. Each figure tells part of Brussels' story, from medieval guild power to religious conflicts. The interior has these grand halls filled with tapestries that survive both the bombardment and centuries of political upheaval. Here's a detail most people miss, but I have a question. The asymmetrical placement of the tower, was it actually a design choice? Our final stop brings us to probably the most controversial legend in Brussels, Manneken Pis. The Brussels City Museum houses the original statue and over 1,000 costumes for this little bronze boy, which is honestly kind of wild when you think about it. But here's the thing, nobody actually knows which legend is true. Did he save Brussels by peeing on explosives? Was he Duke Godfrey III who supposedly urinated an enemy troops from a tree basket during medieval battles? Or was he just some merchant's lost son who was found reliving himself on this corner? Anyone know which story is the most probable? But maybe this is just this uniquely Brussels sense of humor. Who knows? Please write me a comment what you think about this. You can come back from here to the Herb Street and enjoy the rest of the city. I highly recommend this place for Belgian waffles, very tasty and I suppose good price. If this video made you want to dig deeper into Brussels hidden gems, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more travel content like this. Drop me a comment telling me which of these places you like the most. See you next time.